This testimony is classified under Directorate File 7L57, codename Blacksnake. I provide my account under oath, knowing it will be redacted, buried, and perhaps denied. I was an operative of Mossad, deployed covertly across hostile borders into Turkey for reconnaissance purposes. The mission was sanctioned under joint intelligence protocols. Coordinates were provided with surgical precision: 38.9637 degree N, 35.2433 degree E. A mountainous corridor where NATO and Warsaw Pact ghosts once circled one another. My orders emphasized silence, deep cover, and extraction of classified artifacts suspected to predate human memory. At briefing, I wore standard Arctic camouflage fatigues, thermal visor, oxygen meter affixed at chest, and suppressed IMI Uzi resting beneath my arm. Nothing unusual. The tone remained procedural, like dozens of prior missions. Yet, atmosphere clung strangely heavy, metallic, almost pre-electrical in texture. The corridors of memory begin clear. Bureaucratic voices, clattering typewriters, coordinates tapped into encrypted channels. Then, like frost spreading across glass, recollection distorts. My certainty fractures. I recall echoes before sounds, shadows before light, and the feeling that the ground beneath Turkey pulsed as if alive. I repeat, the initial atmosphere was clinical. Cold War gravity, absolute secrecy, tangible danger. Yet buried beneath professionalism lurked something primal, an unease unrecorded in official communiques. We thought we hunted a cache of stolen nuclear intelligence. Instead, we approached something older than written language itself. The air tasted of iron even before crossing the border. I remember tasting blood, although my gums were unbroken. My watch ticked with mechanical precision, yet seconds stretched unnaturally. A convoy light flickered in rhythm that mirrored my heartbeat, as though syncing with hidden machinery. Every operative rehearsed cover identities with mechanical confidence. My own assumed role, petroleum surveyor, carrying forged documents and a hollow case. Yet in reflection, that case felt weighted with unseen pressure. It vibrated. New here? Welcome to Intel Uncovered, where chilling military horror stories come alive. Hit subscribe and step into the shadows with us. Faintly against my hand, though empty, I sensed invisible scrutiny upon us. A veteran leader, weathered beyond fear, sat silently during transit. His eyes shifted not toward maps or weapons, but toward horizons unseen. The commander's jaw trembled slightly, as though hearing whispers on frequencies outside human reception. None of us dared acknowledge that trembling silence. Now, in retrospect, I understand the mission never belonged to us. We entered as predators but walked as prey into something that was neither enemy state nor human adversary. This is my testimony. This is the first unredacted fragment before inevitable erasure swallows truth. The mission parameters were articulated with clinical detachment. Intelligence intercepts suggested a subterranean installation beneath eastern Turkey, constructed during late Soviet expansion. Satellite imagery revealed unusual heat blooms, electromagnetic surges, and geometric anomalies inconsistent with natural geology. Command insisted recovery or documentation of suspected clandestine weapons development. Turkey's terrain made this plausible. Mountain ridges hid countless fortifications. NATO suspected nuclear material stockpiling. Our higher offices, however, whispered of something beyond weaponry. Files stamped anomaly. Theta were never explained. They circulated only among upper analysts, their pages dense with black ink and cryptic diagrams. Failure was unacceptable. Success meant validation of Mossad's superiority in extracting truths concealed by collapsing empires. The geopolitical stakes were tangible, preventing Soviet resurgence, curbing regional instability, preserving Israel's fragile deterrence. Yet beneath those rational objectives, there thrummed an unnamed urgency, an obsession cloaked in secrecy. Our logistics chain operated with cold precision. Night insertion planned via unmarked helicopters flying nap of Earth. Extraction scheduled within 36 hours maximum. Communications routed through encrypted frequency hops. Medical contingencies prepared for radiation exposure, chemical threats, and subterranean collapse. Yet nothing accounted for distortions of perception itself. The facility's location sat astride forgotten ruins predating Ottoman records. Archaeological surveys from the 1930s referenced collapsed catacombs beneath volcanic stone. Reports vanished after state censorship. Modern sensors revealed impossible alignments, corridors mapped but looping back into themselves, shadows elongating beyond physical geometry. Military planners ignored such impossibilities. Classified memoranda spoke of irregular signals. Descriptions shifted, sometimes seismic, sometimes acoustic, sometimes neither. Analysts compared them to low-frequency chanting. Others measured them as structured pulses like encoded communications. Regardless of interpretation, headquarters feared adversaries might weaponize phenomena our own scientists refused to acknowledge as natural. Thus we became pawns deployed to retrieve proof, silence witnesses, or bury evidence. We believed ourselves apex predators moving unseen through hostile territory. In reality, we advanced toward a locus where human ambition, superstition, and unearthly geometry converged. The stakes exceeded politics. They threatened perception itself. The commander carried the weight of decades across deserts and alleys where silence meant survival. His demeanor was granite, his eyes perpetually scanning horizons unseen. He trusted routines, logistics, and men under his command, but something about this assignment bent even his steel discipline. The medic spoke little, yet his presence radiated calm precision. He could reset fractures, stabilize arterial wounds, or diagnose poisoning from scent alone. He carried journals filled with anatomical sketches and obscure references. His hands steadied us, though his own mind would fracture first. Our demolitions expert was brash, a dangerous blend of technical mastery and irreverent humor. He treated explosives as extensions of himself, describing detonation timing like orchestral music. His laughter filled silences no one dared confront. Beneath bravado hid gnawing fear of irrelevance and mortality. The communications specialist embodied analytic coldness. His obsession with frequencies bordered on unhealthy. He memorized bands, encryption patterns, and atmospheric anomalies. In field rehearsals, he described transmissions as living entities, breathing through static. None of us understood his fascination, but it anchored us to invisible networks. Our veteran leader was older than regulations recommended. He had survived countless theaters where others perished nameless. His authority did not come from command, but from presence. He spoke rarely, yet every syllable bent us toward discipline. His silence later proved most haunting. I myself, the designated operative, bridged intelligence collection with covert execution. My training was shadow work, infiltration, languages, extraction under duress. I believed secrecy offered mastery, that knowledge equaled control. That belief shattered when knowledge itself unraveled, and secrecy no longer shielded against impossible phenomena. During transport, personalities revealed themselves in subtle detail. The demolitions expert polished detonators as though grooming a pet. The medic whispered Latin mnemonics, testing memory against encroaching fatigue. The communications specialist tapped patterns into steel floor, claiming he listened for answers resonating through vibrations beneath. The commander, though hardened, occasionally clenched fists against unseen pressures. I saw veins tremble across his wrist as if resisting some internal frequency. The veteran leader sat in total stillness, yet his eyes glimmered with recognition of forces none of us wanted acknowledged. Each man carried intimate burdens. The demolitions expert mourned a brother lost in Lebanon. The medic carried guilt from surgeries gone wrong. The communications specialist avoided photographs, claiming reflections carried messages. The commander buried 3 units across borders. The veteran leader buried entire histories within silence. Individually flawed, collectively lethal, we entered Turkey like phantoms. Yet personal fissures foreshadowed cracks widening under strain. As operations deepened, their weaknesses became conduits. The medic's obsession shifted into madness. The demolitions expert's humor warped into grotesque echoes. The communications specialist's fascination invited alien voices into circuits. In briefing halls, camaraderie felt unshakable. Banter masked fear, efficiency masked uncertainty. But when stripped of familiar battlefields, facing anomalies indifferent to human defiance, these same strengths twisted into vulnerabilities. Their introductions remain vivid not because of who they were, but because of what they became. Every man believed in controlled violence, tactical certainty, and definable adversaries. None comprehended that we were stepping toward an intelligence not designed for confrontation. Each member of the unit would be redefined, their essence rewritten. Their introductions were merely preludes to annihilation disguised as transformation. The briefing occurred in a subterranean chamber beneath Tel Aviv headquarters. Walls dripped with condensation from poor ventilation, fluorescent tubes humming above. The table bore projected maps of eastern Turkey, mountain ridges rendered as spectral green peaks. Our commander recited objectives with mechanical clarity, voice sharpened by duty. Primary directive: infiltrate suspected underground complex without detection, retrieve physical samples of anomalous machinery, record photographic evidence, and transmit findings. Secondary directive: identify foreign personnel, neutralize threats only if compromise unavoidable. Emphasis placed upon silence, precision, and discretion. Yet subtle tremors vibrated beneath clinical words. Intelligence analysts displayed photographs, distorted structures emerging through basalt, angles refusing Euclidean geometry. Some images blurred not from poor focus, but from something more insidious, as though reality itself recoiled. Files were passed without explanation, stamped with red sigils unfamiliar to even senior officers. The communications specialist requested clarity on anomalous signatures. Analysts dismissed concerns, labeling them noise. Yet audio fragments played, low-frequency hums interlaced with syllables resembling ancient chants. In conference silence, the sound made hearts palpitate irregularly. The demolitions expert cracked a joke, but laughter felt brittle, forced. Our medic asked about potential chemical or radiological exposure. Response: prepare for irregular oxygen levels, carry atropine, iodine, anti-radiation protocols, yet notes suggested unmeasurable hazards. Margins bore references to psychogenic dissonance. The term was never explained. Our commander pressed forward, unwilling to allow hesitation undermining cohesion. Deployment plan outlined insertion via unmarked helicopters staging from NATO ally airstrip. Flight path traced nap of Earth trajectories beneath radar. Exfiltration contingent upon successful signal confirmation every 12 hours. Contingencies included suicide capsules if capture imminent. Silence fell when capsules distributed. None protested, though eyes betrayed doubt. During equipment inspection, anomalies arose. Batteries drained prematurely. Compasses twitched erratically. Watches desynchronized. Technicians blamed interference from mountainous terrain. Our communications specialist frowned, tracing patterns on scratched table surface, muttering about harmonic resonance. He claimed interference was deliberate, not environmental. His words were ignored, but remembered. Final night before deployment, team confined within steel bunker. Lights flickered irregularly, shadows lengthening then snapping abruptly. The veteran leader lit a cigarette, smoke curling like glyphs across ceiling. No one commented, though each man seemed aware of unspoken presence filling confined air with dread. At 0300 hours, deployment commenced. We loaded gear, rifles suppressed, demolition packs, medical satchels, encrypted radios, rations sealed against contamination. Engines thundered faintly. The demolitions expert grinned nervously, calling the night perfect for ghosts. His words carried more truth than he understood. The helicopters rose into darkness, blades chopping rhythmically. Beneath us stretched ink-black valleys, ridges like fractured bones of ancient titans. Instruments occasionally blinked red before stabilizing. I watched horizon lights shimmer unnaturally, as though reflecting oceans absent from maps. No one spoke. Silence pressed unbearably. Crossing the border felt anticlimactic. No alarms, no flares, only barren terrain swallowing our shadows. Yet weight settled upon lungs, as though altitude increased beyond measure. My oxygen gauge flickered, recalibrated, then displayed impossible pressure readings. The commander ordered focus. I obeyed outwardly, though unease deepened. Approaching landing zone, ground shimmered faintly metallic beneath moonlight. Soil seemed liquid, reflecting starlight like mercury. The pilots muttered uncertainly, but descended. Landing skids sank slightly into earth, though instruments reported solid ground. We disembarked quickly, leaving rotors thrumming like anxious hearts. Deployment completed. True descent awaited underground. The mountains rose around us like petrified giants, their silhouettes jagged against dim moonlight. Air thinned with altitude, biting our lungs. Snow patches glittered faintly metallic. Boots crunched rhythmically, muffled under load-bearing packs. Radios hissed intermittently, channels breaking into whispers resembling syllables none of us recognized. Progress demanded silence. The commander signaled halts every 100 meters, scanning ridges with thermal optics. Readings showed irregular heat signatures, briefly appearing, then vanishing. The medic adjusted oxygen gauge, frowning at fluctuating levels. His whispered remark carried unease. Altitude wrong, pressure inconsistent. Silence swallowed explanation instantly. The demolitions expert carried charges wrapped like sacred relics. He hummed songs to mask anxiety. Echoes twisted strangely, returning dissonant. Melodies bent into discordant notes no human throat could produce. He stopped humming abruptly, muttering it sounded as though someone else finished verses behind him. Our communications specialist tuned portable receiver, seeking navigation beacons. Instead, static surged into patterns, pulses repeating mathematically, then shifting irregularly. He scribbled notes feverishly, whispering about deliberate interference. Commander silenced him. We marched on, but the hum persisted faintly, vibrating teeth as though mountains themselves resonated. Terrain became increasingly treacherous. Slopes fractured into knife-edged ridges. Footing unstable, rocks dislodged, tumbling endlessly into black valleys. Veteran leader moved effortlessly, guiding us with uncanny instinct. His calm steadied us, though his eyes often lingered skyward, scanning constellations as though expecting messages inscribed across stars themselves. Halfway to target, snowstorm erupted without warning. Flakes descended in unnatural spirals, each glinting like molten sparks. Visibility collapsed, compasses spun erratically. GPS failed outright, screens flickering into geometric glyphs. Commander barked orders to maintain formation. Every step became an act of faith through white silence. Inside storm, sound distorted. Boots no longer crunched. Instead, echoes resembled whispering voices trailing behind us. Medic clutched chest, describing crushing pressure. Instruments displayed normal vitals, yet his face paled ash white. He insisted unseen hands pressed against sternum. Commander ordered him forward, ignoring his quiet panic. Hours stretched unmeasured. Watches desynchronized, some racing, others halting. My own displayed 20 minutes passage while colleagues displayed 3 hours. Storm dissipated abruptly. Sky cleared unnaturally fast, revealing crescent moon locked motionless, unmoving. Shadows remained frozen where cast, indifferent to shifting torch beams. As dawn approached, terrain altered. Rock formations curved into impossible arches, stones balanced precariously yet unmoved by wind. Veteran leader traced hand across basalt wall, muttering ancient prayer. Surface vibrated faintly beneath his palm, as though wall inhaled. None questioned. Fear prevented language from naming. We paused for ration break. Food tasted metallic. Chewing induced nausea. Water canteens smelled faintly of ozone. Demolitions expert spat violently, claiming liquid fizzed against tongue like carbonation. Medic attempted analysis, but instruments displayed contradictory data, temperature simultaneously sub-zero and fever hot. He quietly packed tools, unsettled. March resumed under fractured dawn, sun's ascent misaligned, rising from northern horizon rather than east. Commander declared compass malfunction, yet shadows still stretched eastward, defying source. Veteran leader whispered it was wrong dawn. His words lingered uncomfortably, describing what each of us silently observed but denied. Approaching coordinates, valley narrowed into gorge resembling knife wound across earth. Walls soared vertically, edges sharp enough to slice sky. Within gorge, air thickened metallic, breathing difficult. Oxygen gauges blinked red, then green. Our radios erupted briefly with chanting voices layered upon static. We pressed deeper. Gorge opened into plateau littered with remnants of collapsed architecture, broken pillars, glyphs, etched faintly glowing. Not Ottoman, not Byzantine, something far older. Medic sketched symbols nervously. Communications specialist recorded frequencies matching glyphs' pulses. Commander ordered silence, though silence itself throbbed unnaturally alive. Landing zone behind us felt distant, unreachable. Plateau ahead exhaled faint vapor, ground shimmering like heat despite freezing temperature. Boots sank slightly into earth that felt neither soil nor stone, more pliant, almost flesh-like. Demolitions expert recoiled, muttering ground breathed. No one responded. Fear sealed mouths. Night approached again, unnaturally swift. Sky bruised into violet before black. Stars rearranged subtly. Constellations misaligned. Veteran leader halted, whispering, "They are watching." His certainty unnerved even commander, yet orders pressed us forward, toward faint entrance carved into cliffside, its archway pulsating with dim internal glow. As final meters closed, sensation overtook us. Silence heavier than gravity, hearts pounding irregularly, metallic taste saturating tongues. Our flashlights flickered simultaneously, revealing glyphs etched around entrance shimmering faint blue. Inside lay target facility, or something masquerading as one. Descent awaited. None spoke. We entered. Crossing threshold, air shifted instantly. Outside's icy bite replaced by suffocating warmth, humidity condensing along skin. Walls glistened slick, not carved by tools but eroded by something deliberate yet non-human. Torches illuminated curves bending away, impossible angles folding space inward, corridors spiraling despite appearing straight. Commander ordered instruments active. Oxygen gauges swung wildly, displaying impossible fluctuations. 21% one moment, 0 the next. Yet lungs continued breathing. Medic frowned, whispering readings contradicted biology. Communications specialist noted static saturating frequencies, layered with faint voices whispering our names individually. Silence followed. Inside archway sound carried unnaturally. A single bootstep echoed endlessly, rebounding with distorted delay. Demolitions expert tapped rifle butt experimentally. Echo returned sharper, closer, as though mimicking rather than reflecting. He cursed softly, claiming cave mocked him. Commander silenced dissent with sharp hand signal. Light sources malfunctioned intermittently. Flashlights flickered into blackness, then returned dimmer. Lenses refracted beams, splitting them into spectral rainbows crawling across slick walls. Glyphs etched in spirals glowed faintly whenever beams crossed. Medic recorded sketches furiously. He whispered symbols resembled diagrams of vascular systems, alive within stone. Passages narrowed, then widened unpredictably. Sometimes ceilings collapsed to force crawling. Other times chambers opened cavernous. Air tasted metallic, sharp against tongue, leaving mouths dry. Veteran leader touched wall, recoiling violently. He whispered it pulsed beneath skin like heartbeat. No one doubted. Fear hardened silence. The deeper we pressed, more corridors contradicted logic. Map sketches tangled upon themselves, entrances leading back unexpectedly, exits evaporating. Commander maintained rigid focus, though sweat streamed across temples. His insistence on order clashed with environment erasing certainty. He gritted teeth, repeating coordinates like prayer against chaos. We encountered first door, rusted steel slab embedded within basalt. Hinges fused, yet faint vibration resonated through metal. Communication specialist pressed ear, recoiled pale. He swore voices conversed inside, in languages lost. Demolitions expert prepared charges. Commander forbade detonation fearing collapse. We bypassed reluctantly, unease deepened. Temperature shifted abruptly. Frost-coated walls, yet breaths condensed hot steam. Medic's thermometer displayed contradictory readings. Sub-zero air, yet skin flushed fever warm. His notes grew frantic, lines crossing, symbols replacing words. He muttered names of ancient physicians, Galen, Avicenna, Paracelsus. None of us interrupted. Further in, corridors revealed machinery embedded into stone, gears fused seamlessly with crystalline structures. Surfaces reflected not faces but distorted humanoids, pale and eyeless. Veteran leader touched reflection, hand passing through briefly. He pulled back, trembling violently. His silence thereafter felt heavier, burdened by visions unseen. We rested briefly in chamber. Rations spoiled instantly, bread molding, water souring. Hunger gnawed, but fear eclipsed appetite. Demolitions expert joked nervously about haunted kitchens. Laughter echoed unnaturally, doubling voices. Shadows swayed independently of bodies. Commander extinguished torches, preferring darkness over treacherous illumination. Darkness felt marginally safer. Moving again, we found stairs descending sharply. Steps carved spiraled downward endlessly. Boots struck stone, producing ringing tone like bell. Each strike resonated longer, overlapping previous echoes. Sound became chant-like rhythm. Communications specialist whispered pattern resembled coded transmission. He scribbled notes feverishly until Commander snapped. At stairbase, chamber opened immense. Ceiling vanished beyond torchlight. Columns rose like petrified trees, etched with glyphs glowing faintly red. Air thickened oppressive. Oxygen gauges flatlined, yet lungs continued functioning. Medic whispered, "We breathed something else." His words chilled marrow, though unspoken agreement affirmed truth. From darkness, faint hum intensified, vibrating marrow. Machinery embedded across chamber glowed sporadically, gears turning without power. Surfaces rippled like liquid metal, reflecting constellations unknown. Commander barked orders to document. Cameras clicked reluctantly, developed images blurred instantly, figures appearing within film none had seen directly. Veteran leader pointed toward distant arch. Unlike others, this doorway breathed faint mist curling outward. Its edges shimmered impossible, folding inward, then expanding. Fear radiated through group. Yet mission demanded progress. Commander forced advance. Step by step, we approached arch. Each man sensing threshold crossed irreversibly. When boots touched threshold stone, humming deepened. Radios erupted with overlapping voices, each reciting personal secrets none had shared aloud. Words slashed confidence. Eyes widened. Panic trembled silently. Still, Commander pushed forward, declaring, "No retreat." We obeyed. Past arch, descent steepened. Mission shifted permanently into nightmare. We moved carefully through labyrinthine corridors, treating them like any hostile facility. Commander assigned sectors, medic monitored vitals, demolitions expert scanned for structural weaknesses, communications specialist mapped signals. Routine grounded us, procedures wrapped sanity like armor. Yet beneath efficiency, tremors of unease rippled constantly, unacknowledged but undeniable. The chamber floors bore metallic residue, dust clinging magnetically to boots. Our instruments logged readings impossible to rationalize, radiation spikes alongside null zones, temperatures fluctuating violently across meters. Medic recorded tirelessly, his voice trembling slightly. Routine served as shield, though shield's cracks widened perceptibly with time. Commander ordered establishment of forward post within shallow alcove. We arranged equipment, planted sensors, checked communication relays. Specialists struggled against constant interference, signal bending strangely, bouncing from walls like trapped birds. He cursed under breath, insisting architecture itself transmitted against us. Commander silenced him harshly. Rations distributed again. Food decayed slower underground but still tasted foul. We forced ourselves to chew, needing strength. Demolitions expert spoke lightheartedly, spinning tales of future missions. His words carried desperation. Laughter died prematurely, choked by atmosphere pressing down. We ate quickly, eager to resume structured tasks. During exploration sweeps, Medic discovered carved diagrams resembling human anatomy fused with celestial charts. He traced outlines nervously, insisting veins aligned with planetary orbits. Commander dismissed as irrelevant. Yet unease lingered, sketches filed silently. He whispered, "It is medicine for stars." Silence followed. Words felt forbidden. Normal operations demanded mapping facility. Corridors curved but returned to themselves, rendering charts incoherent. Every pathway doubled back, spiraling without center. We forced ourselves to mark walls with chalk. Symbols faded quickly, as if stone absorbed pigment. Veteran leader muttered prayers, eyes hollow with recognition. We attempted to establish radio uplink. Communication specialist tuned frequencies endlessly. Static roared, then harmonized into eerie humming melody. He froze, mesmerized. Commander shook him violently until trance broke. Specialist insisted signal, sang names. His notes filled with staves of impossible notation. We avoided eye contact. Demolitions expert scanned support beams, preparing contingency charges. He touched wall and recoiled, claiming vibration pulsed like veins. His humor evaporated. He armed no charges. Instead, he sat muttering about rhythm beneath stone. Commander ignored insubordination, focusing on tactical preparation, though sweat betrayed gnawing uncertainty. We documented environment photographically, every printout distorted, images bending, shapes elongated unnaturally. A column appeared multiplied, shadows blurred beyond physics. Photographers blamed lenses. Medic whispered it was reality misaligning. Commander ordered destruction of faulty images. Communications specialist hid several, unable to resist fascination with warped portrayals. Hours passed without measurable progress. Watches displayed contradictory durations. My own recorded 4 hours, Commander's 2, veteran leaders nearly 9. Confusion mounted, but Commander pressed forward. Mission parameters remain, he insisted. We obeyed. Pretending routine remained intact allowed fragments of sanity, though dread thickened steadily. Our initial exploration ended without overt confrontation. Operations appeared normal to superficial glance. We documented, mapped, recorded. Yet something beneath surface writhed, influencing instruments, distorting perception. Routine became theater, convincing us of control. Beneath masks, fear spread quietly. Facility observed us, not vice versa. And it waited. The first sign arrived subtly. While sweeping a narrow corridor, veteran leader raised fist, halting movement. He stared into darkness ahead. We saw nothing, yet his whisper carried weight. Footsteps. We strained ears. Silence. Then faint cadence echoed, boots striking stone, approaching though unseen. Commander signaled defensive posture, rifles leveled toward corridor. Shadows stretched unnaturally, elongating past physical forms. Footsteps halted suddenly, replaced by metallic scraping. Demolitions expert muttered curses, knuckles white around trigger. Nothing emerged. After tense minutes, Commander ordered advance, corridor empty. Yet unease lingered like static charge. Further along, torches flickered simultaneously. Light bent. Shadows swayed independently, lagging seconds behind motion. Medic froze, whispering shadows, out of sync. Commander ordered silence, pressed onward. My peripheral vision glimpsed humanoid outlines clinging walls. When confronted directly, they vanished. Air pressed heavier, lungs straining inexplicably harder. Communications specialist's receiver erupted unexpectedly. Static condensed into layered whispers, voices calling each operative's birth name. The sound bypassed comprehension, entering directly into marrow. Specialist trembled violently, muttering responses unconsciously. Commander ripped headset away. Receiver continued vibrating, though disconnected. It eventually stilled, leaving silence suffocating. At temporary camp, medic attempted sleep monitoring. His instruments displayed overlapping heartbeats, 2 rhythms beating inside each man. He paled, whispering, duplicated signals. Commander dismissed results as malfunction. Yet our dreams filled with identical imagery. Corridors spiraling endlessly, pale figures watching silently. Awakening offered no relief. Demolitions expert reported footprints across dusted corridor. Prints matched our boots exactly, yet depth inconsistent. Some prints deeper, heavier than human weight. Others impossibly shallow. They trailed behind us, never ahead. As though something followed, mimicking stride imperfectly. He wiped prints away. They returned minutes later. Veteran leader began murmuring languages unrecorded, syllables guttural yet melodic. He claimed voices guided him through labyrinth. Commander silenced him harshly, but unease grew. His words resonated strangely, vibrating helmets. Even after silence resumed, echoes lingered faintly. Medic documented phonetics, eyes wide with fearful recognition. Tension escalated further when rations decayed instantly. Bread crumbled into ash within sealed package. Canteens emitted faint hum, water glowing faintly under torchlight. Medic forbade drinking. Demolitions expert swore he saw reflection blink. Commander confiscated canteens, ordering focus on mission. Hunger gnawed, but fear outweighed appetite. That night, silence grew unbearable. Every breath seemed amplified. Shadows moved while bodies remained still. We attempted rest, rifles clutched tightly. None succeeded. Facility's pulse thrummed beneath stone like heartbeat of colossal organism. Disturbance no longer subtle. It had announced itself, and it had noticed us. Corridors constricted as though alive, walls pressing subtly inward. At first, claustrophobia seemed psychological, but measurements confirmed narrowing. Chalk markings drawn earlier now twisted into spirals, words unreadable. Commander growled orders to maintain formation. His voice cracked faintly, betraying strain he had never previously displayed. Communication specialist insisted facility emitted structured transmissions. He replayed recordings, whispers layered into rhythm, resembling heartbeat coded into static. Medic argued rhythm mirrored vascular systems from earlier glyphs. Demolitions expert mocked theory nervously, but laughter dissolved abruptly when static replayed our own voices, distorted, pleading. While advancing, we encountered fresh footprints across dustless floor. Not ours. Bare, elongated toes, each print glistening faintly as though moist. They trailed deeper into darkness, vanishing abruptly. Veteran leader crouched silently, tracing print with trembling finger. He whispered, "It waits." Commander pushed forward relentlessly. Light sources failed more frequently. Torches sputtered, batteries drained instantly. In darkness, faint phosphorescence radiated from walls, revealing glyphs shifting shape. Medic gasped, claiming diagrams updated in real time, mirroring his sketches. He dropped notebook in panic. Pages themselves writhed, glyphs crawling, consuming written notes. At rest, demolitions expert sharpened knife obsessively. Blade sang against whetstone, yet tone distorted, becoming chorus of metallic shrieks. He froze mid-motion, eyes wide. He whispered knife, screamed. Commander confiscated weapon. Expert trembled visibly, muttering unfinished jokes. Without his humor, silence became crushing, suffocating. Veteran leader grew increasingly detached. He walked without instruction, turning correctly at intersections before orders given. When questioned, he answered vaguely, "They showed me." His certainty unnerved us. Medic monitored him, noting irregular pupils dilating unnaturally. Commander threatened discipline, but hesitation betrayed unspoken acknowledgement of anomaly. The medic attempted experiments with oxygen tanks. He released controlled burst into chamber. Gas condensed visibly, shimmering like liquid mercury, pooling on floor. It flowed uphill briefly before vanishing. His voice cracked. "This air is not air." None responded. Truth had become unbearable. Hunger worsened. Remaining rations transformed quickly, cans corroding, meat liquefying. We chewed stale crackers reluctantly. Demolitions expert claimed crackers whispered faint voices when bitten. He spat violently, refusing food thereafter. His eyes grew sunken, skin pale. Facility seemed intent on eroding both body and morale. Sleep impossible. Dreams arrived even awake, hallucinations layered upon corridors. I glimpsed pale figures darting, vanishing when confronted. Medic described identical visions, though with surgical detail. Organs exposed, veins glowing. Communications specialist confessed he recorded whispers even within dreams. Commander forbade discussion, demanding silence. Escalation climaxed when radios erupted violently. Static transformed into thunderous chant, words reverberating, shaking stone. Specialist clutched head, screaming. His bloodied nose streamed crimson. Chant abruptly ceased, replaced by silence more dreadful than sound. We stood trembling. A aware line between hallucination and environment had collapsed. From that moment, facility dictated tempo. Every corridor whispered, every wall pulsed. Instruments failed comprehensively. Routine collapsed. Mission no longer reconnaissance, but survival. Commander refused retreat. His insistence became obsession, declaring, "Truth is near." We followed, though each step drew us closer toward unnameable confrontation. We entered a vast chamber unlike any before. Ceiling vanished into darkness, Columns glowed faintly with shifting glyphs. Air vibrated low, thrumming against ribs. Our boots echoed endlessly, layering upon themselves. Commander raised fist, signaling halt. Every man sensed threshold had been crossed irreversibly. At chamber's center stood structure resembling altar fused with machinery. Metallic veins extended outward into stone, pulsating faintly like circulatory network. Medic gasped audibly, claiming diagrams earlier matched perfectly. Commander silenced him, yet awe infected all. Structure radiated presence, indifferent yet suffocating, attention pressing invisibly upon us. Demolitions expert approached recklessly, touching metallic vein. His scream erupted instantly. Arm convulsed violently, veins bulging under skin, glowing faint blue. Medic restrained him, administering sedative. Skin cooled rapidly. Veins dimmed, though residue remained faintly luminous. Expert wept silently, whispering, "It knew me." None contradicted. While tending him, communications specialist adjusted receiver compulsively. Static erupted abruptly, not random but coherent voice. It spoke in Hebrew, calling his name, recounting childhood memories. His face drained pale. He insisted voice matched deceased mother. We listened, horrified, as voice recited truths never recorded. Veteran leader stepped forward suddenly, eyes glassy. He extended arms toward structure, whispering unintelligible language. Glyphs across columns brightened, pulsing rhythmically with his cadence. Chamber's hum intensified, stone vibrating beneath boots. Commander restrained him violently, shouting orders. Yet resonance persisted, language embedding itself into marrow. Lights flickered erratically. Shadows thickened, separating from bodies. My own shadow lingered seconds longer, then shifted independently. It reached upward, stretching unnaturally across column. I froze. Medic shouted, slamming light against wall. Shadow retreated, yet imprint remained faintly scorched. Reality fractured before terrified eyes. Commander ordered withdrawal from chamber. We turned hastily, but entrance behind us had shifted. Corridor previously narrow, now spiraled upward endlessly. Panic threatened cohesion. Demolitions expert screamed incoherently, firing weapon into shadows. Bullets ricocheted harmlessly, impacts producing ringing tones like bells. Chamber absorbed violence indifferently. Suddenly, figure emerged from periphery. Pale humanoid, elongated limbs, eyeless sockets reflecting torchlight faintly. Its movement was liquid, gliding unnaturally across stone. We froze. Communications specialist whispered frantically, claiming it transmitted directly into his headset. Voice repeated his every thought milliseconds before he spoke them aloud. Commander barked fire order. Weapons erupted, muzzle flashes illuminating chamber. Bullets tore through figure, yet it did not falter. Instead, wounds expanded into voids, swallowing light. Shadows writhed outward, extinguishing torches instantly. We stood blind, deafened by silence heavier than artillery. Terror transcended rational combat training. Medic activated flare. Harsh red glow revealed figure standing unharmed, closer now. Its skin shimmered translucent, veins glowing with same pulse as structure. It tilted head, mimicking gestures imperfectly. Our reflections distorted grotesquely across its surface, faces stretched, mouths screaming silently. Expert sobbed uncontrollably, weapon clattering away. Veteran leader stepped forward again, unafraid. He muttered fragmented prayers, words blending with glyph resonance. Entity tilted head once more, almost acknowledging him. Columns vibrated intensely, dust raining from unseen ceiling. Medic dragged him back forcefully, screaming about resonance altering his physiology. Commander ordered retreat immediately. We stumbled toward spiraled corridor. Walls twisted around us, looping infinitely. Steps taken brought us back repeatedly. Communications specialist shouted into headset, claiming coordinates overlapped. GPS displayed nonsensical numbers, latitude folding upon longitude. Panic cracked Commander's mask briefly. His roar, "Forward," sounded desperate rather than commanding. Entity did not pursue conventionally. Instead, it appeared intermittently along periphery, impossibly near regardless distance. One moment distant, next towering silently behind. Every glance risked contact, its presence pressed against lungs, heartbeat irregular. Demolitions expert collapsed briefly, clutching chest, whispering rhythm of pulse matched entity's glow. After agonizing eternity, corridor split abruptly. Two paths materialized. Commander chose left instinctively. Right passage sealed immediately, stone knitting together. Medic gasped, claiming rock, decided. We sprinted blindly, shadows stretching endlessly. Behind us, chamber hummed louder, voice-like resonance following. Entity remained unseen, yet undeniably still watching. Eventually, corridor spat us into smaller chamber, doors sealed instantly behind. Silence reigned, oppressive yet marginally safer. We collapsed, lungs burning though oxygen gauges displayed impossible zero. Entity absent, but memory clung like frost. First encounter concluded. Mission had crossed threshold irreparably. Normalcy was gone. Silence after encounter was deceptive. We regrouped, shaken, whispering minimal words. Commander forced composure, yet tremor betrayed him. Our bodies trembled without cold. Medic insisted pulse irregularities persisted. Every man now carried second heartbeat. Shadows crawled subtly, disobeying torchlight. Facility had claimed pieces of us already. Demolitions expert deteriorated rapidly. His skin glowed faintly along veins, pulsing rhythmically with unseen frequency. He scratched arms until bloodied, muttering about wires beneath skin. Medic restrained him, applying sedatives. Yet glow persisted, radiating faint blue through bandages. His laughter hollow, jokes twisted grotesquely, unsettling all. Communications specialist obsessed with receiver, refusing to relinquish headset. He claimed entity continued speaking, promising escape if he listened. His eyes bloodshot, ears bleeding faintly, but determination unshaken. Commander attempted confiscation. Specialist resisted violently, snarling guttural syllables. Language unrecorded. Medic sedated him, though resistance unnatural, strength amplified. Veteran leader grew detached, silent yet unnervingly prescient. He predicted turns correctly before corridors revealed themselves. His gaze hollow, fixated on unseen guides. At times he halted, whispering warnings seconds before anomalies manifested. Doors sealing, torches extinguishing. We relied unwillingly on his altered perception, fearing dependency's consequences. Medic himself fractured. His notebooks filled increasingly with anatomical diagrams fusing celestial geometry, veins aligned with planetary axes. He murmured about treatments for stars, diseases afflicting time itself. His knowledge scrambled, yet meticulous. He trembled, unable to distinguish medicine from prophecy. Commander ignored notes, fearing contamination. Corridors warped violently. Walls shifted, closing abruptly, then expanding. Sound bent unnaturally, footsteps echoing from impossible directions. At one junction, we looped repeatedly, returning to same glyph-covered column despite straight path. Chalk markings erased instantly. Veteran leader declared only trust in voices allowed progress. Commander resisted reluctantly. When he finally yielded, voices guided us through impossible maze. Veteran leader muttered directions, language unrecognizable, yet effective. We reached chamber previously unseen, circular, ceiling domed, surface glistening with liquid metallic sheen. Columns pulsed faint light. Air pressed against lungs like submerged water. Breathing impossible yet inescapable. Within chamber floated object resembling orb, crystalline, spinning silently above pedestal. Glyphs spiraled outward like ripples. Communications specialist fell to knees, headset vibrating violently. He screamed ecstatically, claiming orb, sang perfect frequency. Commander restrained him. Yet resonance infected us all, vibrating bones, saturating marrow with dread. Demolitions expert attempted destruction instinctively, priming charge. Orb pulsed brighter, detonator malfunctioning. Instead of explosion, charge melted silently, liquid metal seeping into pedestal. Expert wailed, collapsing. His arms convulsed, veins glowing brighter, forming glyphs beneath skin. Medic restrained him futilely. Facility consumed his identity systematically, mercilessly. We abandoned chamber reluctantly, Commander insisting survival priority. Yet orb's resonance clung, echoing within skulls. Our own speech warped subtly afterward, words bending into unfamiliar cadences. Medic documented phonetics, horrified. "We are translating ourselves," he whispered. Communications specialist nodded solemnly, affirming language belonged to them. Further descent revealed chambers filled with machinery fused into stone. Gears rotated endlessly without fuel, producing rhythmic pulses. Surfaces rippled like liquid mirrors, reflecting futures rather than presents. I glimpsed my own corpse sprawled lifeless. Medic glimpsed himself centuries old, skeletal. Veteran leader saw nothing, perhaps truth already consumed. At one junction, walls opened briefly, revealing vista impossible underground. Desert horizon under black sky, stars swirling like whirlpools. Wind howled through chamber, metallic and bitter. Then vista vanished, replaced by solid basalt. We stood trembling, aware facility bled dimensions beyond comprehension. Sleep deprivation fractured sanity further. Dreams no longer confined to rest. Even waking hours bent. I saw corridors dissolve into oceanic waves, then return. Communications specialist insisted transmissions were lullabies sung by unseen mothers. Demolitions expert laughed uncontrollably, skin glowing like circuitry. Commander pressed forward, obsession total. At ration halt, veteran leader recited incantations spontaneously. Columns pulsed synchronously, glyphs brightening. Air thickened. Commander struck him across face violently, shouting order. Leader bled silently, lips still moving without sound. Glyphs dimmed reluctantly. Medic warned resonance now embedded permanently. Silence followed. None denied inevitability anymore. Deeper, we encountered skeletal remains embedded within stone. Not human, elongated skulls, multiple eye sockets. Bones fused with crystalline growths, glowing faintly. Medic touched fragment, convulsed violently. He screamed names of ancient physicians again, describing diseases non-existent. We pulled him away forcefully. His eyes bled steadily afterward. Communications specialist deteriorated worst. His headset transmitted constantly, regardless power. Voices poured through, layering thousands. He repeated them mechanically, sometimes before they spoke. He became conduit, body trembling violently, language spilling uncontrollably. Commander attempted gagging. It failed. His words vibrated through walls regardless, facility responding rhythmically. At this stage, mission meaningless. Reconnaissance transformed into survival theater, survival into inevitability. Facility consumed us gradually, rewriting physiology, corrupting cognition. Shadows danced independently, rations decayed instantly. Oxygen irrelevant. We no longer trusted instruments, nor time itself. Only truth remained. Environment indifferent, infinite, and uncontainable. Commander still clung to purpose, his mantra repeated. Proof must be taken. He forced us forward, deeper into labyrinth. Yet proof devoured us, transforming flesh into language, minds into conduits. Escalation complete, confrontation inevitable. Facility prepared us for climax like prey herded by ancient hunter. We descended into final chamber without choice. Corridors folded inward, herding us inexorably toward heart of structure. Atmosphere thickened unbearably, metallic tang saturating lungs. Torches extinguished completely. Glyphs illuminated path instead, glowing like veins. Commander led relentlessly, obsession overriding fear. Facility pulsed around us, alive, expectant, chamber immense, circular, filled with machinery breathing rhythmically. Pistons expanded, retracted, though unpowered. Columns stretched infinitely, converging upon void suspended mid-air. Entity manifested fully there, pale, eyeless, limbs elongated impossibly. Its surface shimmered translucent, veins glowing synchronously with surrounding machinery. It observed silently, presence crushing consciousness. Communications specialist convulsed violently, headset fused into skull. Voices erupted simultaneously from his throat, thousands overlapping. His body lifted weightlessly, arms outstretched. Entity mirrored perfectly, movements synchronous. Specialist screamed without sound, eyes glowing static. He had become vessel, conduit bridging our world with theirs. Demolitions expert broke, charging entity with final grenade. Explosion never occurred. Instead, grenade unraveled mid-air, fragments floating before vanishing into void. Expert himself collapsed, body splitting with silent scream. Veins glowing fully, glyphs erupting across flesh. He writhed, limbs contorting, until silence consumed his existence. Medic attempted intervention, rushing toward him, but upon contact, his knowledge fractured catastrophically. He screamed names across centuries, medical techniques from civilizations extinct, describing surgeries for species unimagined. His journal exploded into flames spontaneously, ashes forming glyphs mid-air. He collapsed, trembling, voice now fractured into timeless chorus. Veteran leader stepped forward calmly. He bowed toward entity, whispering prayers. Columns brightened. Entity tilted head, mimicking perfectly. For a moment, silence profound. Then glyphs carved themselves into his skin, glowing red. He staggered backward, collapsing wordlessly. His eyes reflected constellations alien, memory erased instantly, hollow gaze infinite. Commander roared defiance, raising weapon. Bullets erupted wildly, yet each impact dissolved harmlessly into void. Entity advanced not by steps, but by existence. Distance irrelevant. Its presence filled marrow. Commander dropped weapon finally, collapsing to knees. He whispered fractured prayer, begging truth or annihilation. Entity extended limb toward him. Flesh did not contact. Instead, time fractured. We witnessed Commander simultaneously kneeling, standing, collapsing. He screamed across overlapping timelines. His voice splintered into infinite echoes. Shadows stretched outward, consuming him until only faint resonance remained, vibrating endlessly within machinery. I alone remained unclaimed temporarily. My body trembled violently, lungs burning with metallic taste. Entity's attention pressed upon me, suffocating. I raised rifle instinctively, though futility certain. My shadow rose independently, towering behind me, mimicking weapon aim. For a moment, two selves confronted abyss together. Entity did not attack. Instead, it revealed expanse. Chamber dissolved outward, revealing cosmos, galaxies spiraling, civilizations collapsing, timelines overlapping infinitely. Visions poured through mind, wars fought eternally, languages dissolving, humanity irrelevant. Entity indifferent, patient. Its presence radiated inevitability, neither malice nor mercy, merely existence unbound by comprehension. I collapsed, unable to sustain visions. My body convulsed violently, consciousness fracturing. When regained, chamber smaller, entity absent. Only machinery remained, humming quietly. My comrades scattered, specialist unconscious, headset fused, medic trembling incoherent, demolitions expert dissolved into glyph ashes. Commander vanished entirely, veteran leader hollow-eyed, memory blank, silence overwhelming. Machinery slowed gradually, glyphs dimming, but resonance persisted faintly, embedded within bones. I gathered survivors mechanically. None spoke. Facility seemed satisfied, allowing retreat. Passageways opened fluidly, guiding outward. We staggered blindly, haunted by fragments of encounter, transformed irreversibly. Mission objectives forgotten. Only survival remained. During retreat, shadows continued following independently, sometimes ahead of steps. Radios whispered faintly, names repeated endlessly. Medics scribbled diagrams uncontrollably, hands bleeding. Specialist muttered in alien tongues. Veteran leader stared blankly, uncomprehending. We trudged forward, broken remnants of unit once formidable. Facility receded behind, yet never released. Final threshold approached. Archway glowed faintly, mist curling outward. Air thinned instantly, lungs burning. As we crossed, silence returned brutally. Outside, plateau awaited, moon frozen still. Our bodies collapsed upon metallic soil, trembling violently. We had survived, but confrontation remained etched forever into marrow. The plateau beyond facility shimmered under distorted sky. Stars bent unnaturally, constellations twisted unfamiliar. Air metallic, acrid against tongues. Shadows stretched incorrectly, pointing toward multiple horizons simultaneously. We staggered forward, broken. No words exchanged. Every survivor knew retreat meaningless. Facility's influence clung like second skin. Our watches displayed chaos. Mine claimed 14 hours underground. Specialists displayed only 20 minutes. Medic's clock spun erratically, advancing and retreating. Veteran leader's watch frozen permanently at 0. Time had fractured completely. Commander's absence echoed, a void none dared acknowledge. Survival demanded denial. We attempted radio uplink desperately. Static answered, then layered voices again. This time, transmissions described our exact movements, seconds before performed. Specialist trembled violently, headset fused still glowing. He whispered, "Future echoes." Medic struck device against stone, shattering casing. Voices persisted regardless, vibrating marrow directly. Marching toward extraction point, terrain shifted grotesquely. Valleys bent inward, mountains inverted upward. Rivers flowed against gravity, glittering metallic crimson. Veteran leader halted suddenly, whispering, "We walk inside reflection." His certainty chilled. Commander's discipline absent, silence replaced command. We followed instinct only, stumbling like prey fleeing unseen hunter. Hunger clawed violently. Remaining rations spoiled instantly, transforming into black ash. Water canteens sang faint harmonies. We discarded them, yet harmonies persisted faintly, emanating from air. Medic attempted analysis, voice fractured into historical languages. He declared we consumed disease of time, rather than sustenance. Silence followed. Night descended instantly, horizon bruising violet. Moon fractured, splitting into multiple crescents, each casting contradictory shadows. Darkness filled with echoes of our own voices, replayed minutes delayed. Demolitions expert gone, yet his laughter rang intermittently, hollow. We marched blindly, fearing shadows more than exhaustion. Sudden storm erupted, rain metallic, droplets sizzling against skin without burning. Clothes corroded, weapons rusted instantly. Specialist shielded headset instinctively. Medic spread arms, declaring rain, sterile tears. Veteran leader remained silent, guiding steps wordlessly. I felt liquid seep into veins, cold electric hum replacing warmth of blood. After storm, desert horizon revealed extraction zone faintly. Helicopter silhouettes hovered impossibly still, blades unmoving. Their outlines shimmered, doubled faintly, like mirages. Relief tempted, but suspicion stronger. Medic muttered repeatedly. Too smooth. Specialist laughed bitterly, claiming facility offered exit theater. Yet desperation outweighed suspicion. We advanced. Upon approach, rotors engaged suddenly, sound hollow, mechanical heartbeat reverberating. Crews silent, faces obscured by visors reflecting alien glyphs. They waved mechanically. We hesitated, then boarded instinctively. Cabin cold metallic, surfaces pulsating faintly. Doors sealed seamlessly. Helicopters lifted. Plateau shrank, but sensation remained of sinking deeper still. Inside, radios erupted faintly. Transmission declared, Operation Rising Lion, mission successful, 0 casualties. Words chilled marrow. Medic screamed violently, denying. Specialist convulsed, headset glowing brighter. Veteran leader sat silently, eyes blank. I clenched fists, refusing false narrative. Reality itself rewritten while still unfolding. Suppression already active. Outside windows, landscape distorted. Mountains bent like liquid. Rivers reversed. Time collapsed further. One moment night, next dawn. Hours lost instantly, then regained. Helicopter instruments blank. Pilots motionless, hands unmoving. Yet craft navigated smoothly. We realized extraction itself part of phenomenon. No safety existed anymore. Eventually, rotors ceased suddenly. Craft descended softly upon barren plain unfamiliar. No airstrip, no facility, only desert glowing faintly violet. Doors opened automatically. We staggered outward, trembling. Helicopters lifted, dissolving midair like ash carried by wind. Silence absolute. Escape achieved physically, yet reality irreparably disfigured. We stood beneath fractured sky, survivors altered irreversibly. Time meaningless, air metallic, shadows impossible. Facility behind us, but within us still. Escape attempt complete, survival temporary. Truth undeniable. We had crossed threshold forbidden, and threshold refused release. Our lives now belong to anomaly forever. Morning never arrived naturally. Sky remained bruised violet, shadows lengthened unnaturally. Each survivor bore irreversible transformation. Medic first. His speech scrambled violently across centuries, quoting surgical practices for species unknown, reciting diagnoses of planets. He scribbled constantly, notebooks filled with glyphs instead of language, comprehension impossible. Communication specialist deteriorated next. His voice shifted into static tones, electronic bursts replacing words. Every attempt at speech produced shrill frequencies vibrating bone. Headset fused permanently with skull, glowing faintly. He communicated unintentionally, broadcasting internal thoughts across radios long destroyed. Privacy dissolved. Individuality surrendered completely. Demolitions expert absent entirely. His body erased within facility. Yet faint glyphs occasionally appeared glowing across desert sand, pulsing rhythmically with our footsteps. We recognized them as remnants of him. Jokes whispered faintly across wind, hollow, grotesque, reminding constantly of human once defiant but consumed. Veteran leader suffered erasure differently. His eyes reflected nothing. Hollow voids. Memory gone. Voice muted permanently. When questioned, he repeated single phrase. Facility empty. His denial perfect, impenetrable. He walked mechanically, surviving physically, but essence erased. Government later exploited him as ideal witness. Memory rewritten, silence eternal. Commander did not return. His absence overshadowed constantly. We whispered questions, yet silence answered. His fate remained uncertain. Annihilation, transformation, assimilation. Perhaps he existed still within resonance, part of humming machinery. We avoided speculation, fearing acknowledgement would summon echoes, reopening scars never meant to heal. I myself bore unseen burden. My shadow behaved independently, lingering seconds longer, sometimes moving against will. At night, I awoke to footsteps heavier than human. My watch spun endlessly, displaying hours misaligned with stars. Facility embedded permanently. Survival felt deception. I carried contamination inward. Medical examination futile. Instruments malfunctioned near us. Vitals contradictory. Oxygen levels oscillated violently though lungs functioned. Blood samples crystallized instantly, glowing faintly. Scientists declared data corrupted, dismissed results. Yet we knew. Our bodies rewoven, our existence rewritten. We became evidence governments would suppress ruthlessly. Physical mutilations paradoxically painless. Specialist's voice static, yet throat unscarred. Medic's mind scrambled, yet body intact. Veteran leader's memory erased, yet health robust. My shadow fractured, yet skin unbroken. Transformation complete without injury, beyond comprehension. Our humanity eroded invisibly, more horrifying than wounds. Together we staggered onward, survivors outwardly alive, inwardly fractured, irreparably altered. Facility did not kill us. It reshaped us into messages, warnings, anomalies. Escape meaningless. Future predetermined. Our fates no longer our own. We existed only as fragments of something infinitely patient, infinitely alien. Extraction arrived with surgical precision. Convoy of armored vehicles materialized across desert horizon, as though waiting beforehand. Officers emerged calm, too calm. Their faces impassive, voices rehearsed. No urgency, no alarm. They treated us not as survivors, but as specimens requiring containment, cataloging, observation. We were transported swiftly to underground base. Corridors sterile, whitewashed, humming faintly. Guards accompanied silently, eyes concealed by mirrored visors. Our gear confiscated immediately, sealed in containers marked biohazard, anomalous. Instruments recorded faint resonance from metal cases, humming like distant lullaby. No acknowledgement offered. Debrief commenced in clinical chamber. Officers in white coats asked scripted questions. Terrain, enemies, duration underground. Every answer twisted unnaturally. When I spoke truth, my tongue betrayed me. Words reconfigured. Sentences emerged, sanitized. Facility empty, I heard myself declare. Panic surged internally. I lied involuntarily. Medic's testimony fractured. He tried describing stellar anatomy, diseases of time. Transcribers dismissed him, stamping psychotic break. Communications specialist emitted static bursts, unintelligible. They recorded him regardless, nodding as though coherent. Veteran leader repeated mantra, facility empty. Officers praised his clarity, promoting silence as model response. Reports rewritten systematically. Photographs distorted into blank images. Audio logs erased, replaced by silence. Files sealed under non-existent archive designations. Officers smiled coldly, reassuring us mission considered successful. Success defined as silence as erasure, truth irrelevant, evidence irrelevant, narrative predetermined long before our return. Physical examinations equally chilling. Blood drawn, immediately crystallizing. Doctors dismissed results as lab error. Oxygen gauges malfunctioned, registering zeros. They shrugged. My shadow detached briefly under fluorescent light. Technician ignored entirely, continuing notes unbroken. Suppression demanded denial. Truth filtered ruthlessly. We ceased being men, became inconvenient anomalies. Reassignment followed swiftly. Medic transferred to obscure research unit, where his scrambled knowledge could be mined. Specialist assigned to signals division, broadcasting incomprehensible static as though deliberate weapon. Veteran leader retired ceremonially, memory erased, silence perfect. I was reassigned fieldwork, shadow clinging independently, unacknowledged. Every attempt to document truth sabotaged. My pen scratched furiously, yet words dissolved into lies upon page. Photographs blurred into emptiness. Recordings captured silence. Facility forbade testimony. Yet memory remained vivid, images seared into marrow. Suppression external succeeded, but internally truth screamed without release. Meetings with superiors unnerving. Their questions rehearsed, smiles forced. They repeated mantra. No anomaly, no casualties. I nodded mechanically, though body trembled violently. Inside, memories echoed. Entity's eyeless gaze, commander's fractured scream, demolitions expert dissolving. None recorded. None remembered. Silence weaponized, truth erased systematically. We became propaganda tools. Photographs displayed us healthy, smiling, medals pinned, public face manufactured, shadows manipulated. Specialists' static broadcast declared encrypted success. Medics' ravings framed as theoretical innovation. Veteran leader paraded as loyal retiree. Commander absent entirely, erased like facility itself. Rewritten history completed. I continued shadow work, though shadow no longer mine. It moved seconds slower, sometimes independent. During missions, colleagues never noticed. Reports always sanitized, language filtered. Facility followed silently, embedded within every assignment. Governments may suppress, but anomaly patient. It seeped through every silence created. Suppression succeeded bureaucratically. Yet truth lingered. Our bodies, voices, shadows, living archives beyond containment. Facility achieved victory, not through destruction, but through silence. Erasure equaled success. Our transformation-proof governments could not bury entirely, but acknowledgement impossible. We remained ghosts inside systems, denied, silenced, waiting. I sit now within assigned quarters, sterile apartment furnished identically to countless others. Curtains sealed, lights flicker irregularly. My shadow stretches unnaturally long across floor, twitching subtly against will. I write compulsively, though words distort on page. Testimony corrodes instantly, sentences rearranged into government-sanctioned lies. Electronics malfunction continuously. Radio emits static bursts forming glyphs across speakers. Television screen flickers, displaying containment logs and countdown timers, digits unfamiliar. Once, Refrigerator hummed melody identical to chants underground. I unplugged everything, silence heavier. Facility not distant anymore. It resides intimately within walls surrounding me. Hallway outside reverberates nightly with footsteps. Too heavy for human. Floorboards groan under unseen weight. I never open door. I press ear, hearing breaths irregular, metallic. Sometimes voices whisper name gently, imitating deceased relatives. Other times, silence amplifies heartbeat until ribs ache unbearably. Mirrors betray truths, photographs conceal. My reflection lags seconds behind movements, sometimes staring independently. Eyes glimmer faint blue faintly, veins glowing beneath skin. When shadow joins reflection, both converse silently, gestures asynchronous. I avoid mirrors now, though avoidance meaningless. Reflection continues existing regardless observation. Sleep impossible. Dreams indistinguishable from waking. I wander corridors endlessly, encountering pale figures repeating my own words before spoken. Time collapses violently. One moment childhood home, next the chamber with entity, then sterile debriefing room. Reality fractures repeatedly. Sleep offers no refuge, only repetition. Veteran leader sometimes visits, eyes vacant. He insists facility empty. His denial rehearsed, voice hollow. Specialist emits static whenever approached, words drowned in shrill tones. Medic scribbles endlessly, diagrams filling pages before combusting spontaneously. We gather rarely, fractured remnants, united only by silence and patient dread. Commander never returned. Yet occasionally radio crackles with his voice distorted, overlapping, screaming eternally across frequencies. He repeats coordinates endlessly, as though summoning us back. I smash radio violently. Silence follows briefly. But later static resumes, whispering again. Commander alive somewhere, trapped between timelines. My watch displays hours inconsistent with sun. At times hands move backward. Other times they freeze, yet shadows shift independently, suggesting different time altogether. Reality disobedient, clocks irrelevant. Facility patient, embedding itself through every inconsistency, every silence. I wait, knowing inevitability approaches silently, steadily. The entity never required destruction. It only required patience. Humanity will complete annihilation unaided, tearing reality apart through hubris, silence, denial. I understand now. Facility indifferent, eternal. It waits, and we, obedient.